Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled The Siege. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing a police car heading to a place. It turns out that the police car was carrying a corrupt person to be blackmailed, but on the way, suddenly, their vehicle had to stop because it was blocked by a tractor. Two policemen tried to get down to see the surrounding conditions and move the tractor, but the two policemen had the bad luck of being killed by a mysterious person. The police chief, who was still in the car, realized that the situation outside was not safe, so he ordered two of his men to get out, and one was ordered to guard the hostages in the car. But again, they were killed by the mysterious person. It seems that the mysterious person is a professional killer. Then, the mysterious person got into the car and returned to finish off the police guarding inside. Finally, we are told that this mysterious person, Walker, is an international hitman. We are told that Walker used to be a Marine, but since his family died, Walker switched professions to become a hitman. Then Walker uncovered the corruptor's face and matched it with the photo on his mobile phone. The corrupt man looked so happy because he thought that Walker had come to free him, but suddenly Walker pointed his gun. The corrupt man promised to give Walker anything he wanted, even all his wealth, as long as Walker would let him go. However, since the corrupt man was his target, Walker refused all of the corrupt man's offers and killed him on the spot. When Walker got out of the car, he was surprised because the police chief was still alive and managed to escape. Realizing that, Walker immediately contacted his friend. Walker told him that the corruptor, who was his target, had been killed. But there was one policeman who managed to escape and had seen Walker's face. Hearing this, Walker's friend suggested that Walker go to a facility to change his identity. Long story short, Walker arrived at a place. When he went inside, Walker met an old woman who would help replace Walker's identity with a new identity. Here, Walker asked for his identity to be made now, but the old woman said that his new identity would be made now, but Walker was required to stay one night for his own safety. Walker was then taken to a room by an officer named Smith. After entering the room, Smith asked Walker to put away all his belongings, including wallets, mobile phones, and other things. Then Walker was also asked to change his fingerprints. It is known that this facility belongs to an organization of hitmen who want to change old identities with new ones. When Walker was about to enter the room that had been provided, Walker met several other hitmen. Walker also saw a pregnant woman named Juliet. At that time, Juliet is in the same room with a hitman named Elda. Meanwhile, it turns out that a group of mafia will secretly attack the place. This attack was led directly by the mafia boss's right hand. Before entering, one of the right hands, Reynard, informed his boss if they had arrived near the location. It is known that their goal is to forcibly take Juliet, who is currently pregnant. The scene moves to Walker, who is seen in his room looking at the locket containing his daughter's photo. Walker is always sad and feels guilty when he sees a photo of his daughter. It is known that his daughter died decades ago when Walker was still active as a Marine. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the mafia members have managed to open the gate and finish off the facility guards. They began to rush in to search for Juliet's whereabouts. One guard in charge of monitoring all the rooms was also killed. Then, they could quickly hack the guarding system, CCTV, and access in and out. However, Smith, overseeing the facility's condition, was listening to music and did not realize that the mafia group had attacked. So, when Smith was about to leave, he was terrified after seeing his fellow officers being killed by the mafia. Smith immediately went into hiding and activated the alarm. Walker, who heard the alarm sound, did not seem to care about the situation outside his room. Walker is still focused on mourning the photo of his daughter. Not long after, Elda and Juliet approached Walker's room. Here, Elda asks Walker for help because Elda knows that this attack was carried out to kidnap Juliet. But Walker replied that he didn't care about that, especially since he didn't know Elda and Juliet either. Elda said she was also a hitman who knew Walker because Walker was respected among hitmen. But because Walker was silent, Elda and Juliet finally chose to leave. Not long after that, Walker was approached by a member of the mafia who immediately shot him. But Walker quickly finished off the criminal. Feeling that his security was disturbed, Walker finally wanted to retaliate against the mafia members who had attacked the place. While walking through the room, Walker finally met Juliet and Elda, who had just finished off a member of the mafia.
You want me to come back later?
It wasn't long before the sound of mafia members could be heard from the side of the room. Elda invites Walker to finish them, but Walker says it should be Elda's job. In short, Elda finished the mafia members one by one. When Elda was caught off guard, Walker luckily appeared and saved Elda. Then Elda invites Juliet to the armory room because there are still many members of the mafia and they don't have weapons to fight the mafia. When they were about to enter the armory, suddenly the mafia members came, so Juliet had to hide under the car. Juliet was unfortunately caught by one of the mobsters on guard there, but fortunately, Walker and Elda immediately killed the mobster. They were confused after arriving at the armory because the weapons were locked in a glass cabinet and they could not find the key. Soon, they were surprised by Smith's arrival. Walker immediately asked Smith if he had the key to the armory cabinet. Smith said that he did not have the key. Smith only kept the keys to the weapons cabinets that had not been put into the warehouse. When the cupboard was opened, they only found a few knives and smoke grenades. Inevitably, they had to use the existing weapons to fight the mafia. It wasn't long before some mafia members discovered Walker's whereabouts and began surrounding the place. After one person was killed, Elda told Juliet to open the smoke grenade, and then there was a fight and shootout between them. After successfully eliminating all the mafia members who entered the armory, Smith was accidentally shot. Walker tried to calm Smith, but unfortunately, Smith had to die because his gunshot wound was quite severe. Elda then took Juliet and Walker to the medical room because it turned out that Walker's leg was also shot. Arriving at the medical room, Walker tried to ask what the mafia really wanted. Elda explained that she used to be a hitman who worked with a mob boss. During this time, the mob boss and his group ran a human trafficking business, and Juliet used to be one of the victims to be sold. However, the mob boss is attracted to Juliet and makes Juliet his girlfriend. Juliet dated for years until she finally got pregnant. But when Juliet and her baby were offered a high price, the mob boss, without hesitation, immediately wanted to sell Juliet. Elda, who still has a heart of conscience, chooses to save Juliet from the cruelty of the mob boss, especially during Juliet's dating with the mob boss. Juliet often gets inhumane treatment. Knowing this, Walker became pitiful and said that they had to escape from this place immediately. Walker invites Elda to go to the monitor room to disable the signal destroyer so that Walker can contact his friend. Here, Elda asks Walker and Juliet to wait while she goes to the monitor room. While Elda is on her way there, she encounters one of the mafia boss's right-hand men with some of his men. Elda immediately finished off some of the mob boss's men, but one of the mobster's right-hand men managed to escape. After that, Elda entered the monitor room and deactivated the signal destroyer. Meanwhile, Juliet apologized and thanked Walker for helping her. It wasn't long before Elda returned, and she had received a puncture wound to her chest from the fight. Elda says the signal tamper has been disabled, and they must go to the storage room to get the mobile phone. Meanwhile, elsewhere, one of the mob boss's hands named Keats came to the three hitmen who happened to be staying at the facility. Keats offers them a job to help capture Juliet alive, and they will be paid double. Scene back to Walker, Elda, and Juliet walking to the storage room. They are suddenly attacked by one of the mob boss's right-hand men. After a long shootout, Walker can finally finish off one of the mob boss's right-hand men. Then they went into the storage room to get the mobile phone. But it turned out that there was already an assassin named Collins looking for them in that room. Walker immediately threw a smoke grenade so they could easily defeat him, but apparently, the hitman was able to overwhelm Walker and Elda. However, after struggling together, they finally managed to subvert the hitman. Walker immediately took a mobile phone and contacted his friend to ask for help, but his friend said that help would only arrive in an hour. Then Walker invited Elda and Juliet to keep moving because they could be surrounded by mafia members if they stayed in that place. Elda suggested they go to the front room to take a new identity while waiting for help to arrive. When they were about to go there, it turned out that there was already a hitman guarding the place outside the room. Walker asks Elda and Juliet to go to the front room immediately, while he will follow after defeating the hitman. Walker then lures the hitman into a room. Here, Walker finally fought with the hitman named Fisher. At first, Walker had a hard time fighting Fisher, but eventually, Walker managed to finish off the hitman. Meanwhile, Juliet and Elda instead met with one of the remaining hitmen. Elda told Juliet to go to the front room while she would fight with the hitman. Elda struggled to keep up with her opponent's abilities in the fight. Fortunately, when Elda is about to be killed, Walker arrives, which prevents the hitman from killing Elda and switches to hunting Walker. Walker then lured the hitman to a car parked there. Once the hitman was near the car, Walker threw a grenade at the car, causing a massive explosion that left the hitman dying. Elda then went to him and killed the hitman to avenge her previous defeat. Meanwhile, Keats captures Juliet. Keats asked Juliet not to fight back because she would not hesitate to kill Juliet and her baby. Soon, Walker and Elda entered the front room. However, they only found her identity file, while Juliet was not there. Elda realized that Juliet must have been caught by the mafia members. Elda invited Walker to immediately find Juliet and save her. But Walker replied that he had helped too much, so Walker would stop there. Hearing that Elda said whether Walker had the heart, Juliet's fate was the same as the fate of Walker's daughter and wife. It turns out that Elda knows a lot about Walker's background from when Walker was still an active Marine. When Walker was on duty on the battlefield, Walker's daughter and wife were kidnapped by a mobster who was also in the business of human trafficking. Elda then left there alone to save Juliet. Meanwhile, Walker, who was also about to leave, suddenly found his pendant, which had fallen accidentally. When Walker looks at the photo of his daughter, he begins to feel that he must save Juliet, especially since Juliet is pregnant. The scene then moves to Elda, who manages to find Juliet, who is currently about to be taken away by the two right-hand men of the mafia boss, Keats and Reynard. When they were about to get into the car, Elda immediately attacked. Unfortunately, Elda's efforts were unsuccessful, and now Elda has been cornered by Reynard. When Reynard was about to finish off Elda, Walker suddenly appeared to save her. Walker and Reynard fought, while Elda also had to fight with Keats. Walker, who was already exhausted, continued to be beaten badly by Reynard. Meanwhile, Elda was able to finish Keats easily. Then Elda tried to help Walker, who was currently cornered. In the fight, Walker manages to cut off Reynard's hand, and Juliet successfully kills Reynard by hitting him with a car. In the end, they managed to finish off the army sent by the mafia boss. Not long after, helpers sent by Walker's friend arrived. When he was in the car, his friend called Walker, saying there was a new job offer for Walker. But before answering, Walker said that he would finish his business first. A few weeks later shows the mafia boss relaxing at his headquarters. Soon, he heard a commotion outside his room. Panicking, the mob boss immediately fired his gun, but it turned out that he was shooting at his own men. Without much ado, Walker finished off the mob boss. Meanwhile, Elda and Juliet are waiting for the birth of Juliet's child. They also plan to name the baby after the Walker because they feel indebted to the Walker, who has helped them escape the cruelty of the mafia boss. And the movie is over. Don't forget to click subscribe, like and comment.